I'd like to welcome everybody out to July 13th, 2026 Town Council meeting. We'll be looking to go into closed session pursuant to 143, 318, 11A 6 to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, condition of appointment, or conditions of initial employment of an individual public officer or employee or prospective public officer or employee, or to hear or investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against an individual public officer or employee. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to come out of closed session?
I make a motion, we come out of closed session.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome everybody out to the July 13th, 2026 council meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, thank you all for coming out tonight. Bordeaux, would you lead us in a prayer?
I'll be glad to.
We'll stand. We should remain.
No, you all can remain, just sit. Please bow your head and join me in the prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we humbly seek your guidance, your wisdom, and support during our meeting. Grant us the ability to engage in a meaningful discourse, fostering a deeper connection among all of us as we nurture the bonds of our esteemed community. We express our gratitude for the call you've extended each council member to act responsible of our shared environment and to cultivate a spirit of neighborly love. We extend our sincere gratitude to our public servants of Sunset Beach, including our mayor, our town administrator, our town staff, and our fellow council members. I'm particularly appreciative of the public service that you all have chosen to provide on behalf of our community. Dear Lord, please grant us the divine grace as we make decisions that will benefit Sunset Beach. Continue to remind us that our actions and our achievements here are for the greater glory of you and the service to our community. We ask of these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. There was no action coming out of closed session today. Does any member of council have a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest with regards to any item on the agenda? If Stowe, please state at this time.
I do not, Ms. Badger.
No. No?
No.
No.
All right, thank you. Approval and of the draft agenda. Council, I'm going to ask that we move 15.1 and 15.2 to basically 10.1 and 10.2, so it'll be after the public comments to give the public time to on those both. And the reason for this is we have Ron on a limited time, so we would like to save his time to be more useful to our citizens and things and get him in first instead of making him just have to sit here. Y'all have anything else?
I do not.
If not, do I have a motion to approve the draft agenda?
I'll make a motion that we approve the draft agenda with the amendments that you just stated.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. General council discussion. Does any member of council have anything?
I would like to thank a few people. I'd like to thank Amy Goodrich for all she did for our 4th of July events. There were a lot of extra events, and she did a lot of planning for all of that, while also running the market started back up, and everybody's really enjoyed the markets taking place, and they've been packed. So if you haven't gone out to support the markets yet, be sure and do that. And she's also at the concerts and everything. So lots of activities going on in the town of Sunset Beach. I'd also like to thank Vicki Todd. Vicki's here today. And I had a lot of requests come in for different things that I've received via email or phone calls. And every time I contact Vicki, she's right on it, getting back to residents with their concerns and helping to get things resolved. And it's a very big, busy time during the summer for public work. So thank you, Vicki.
Anything else? Anyone?
I'd like to say a few
Go
things too. Echo what you say with our event coordinator. Gosh, we had so many things from a pooch parade to concerts, and just thank you all for that. And we also had Cindy Stevenson also helped with that. The Old Bridge did some things for our community. I want to thank the Old Bridge for their efforts. Sea Trails Property Owner Association and the Island Golf folks had golf cart parades. We want to thank Teresa and Gary Massey at the Sunset Beach Fishing Pier for their concerts that they had Saturday and Sunday nights. Mr. Claimer, your public safety men and women were out and about for the 4th of July, as well as Chief Childers and Thank you all for always being there in case we have an emergency. We know you all like being off too on the 4th, but you were here, as well as the Public Works staff. Just very, very thankful for you all's dedication.
Anything else? All right, if not, we'll move on. Be seeking, go into public hearing now in regards to amendments 3.1, 3.3, 3.21. Do I have a motion to go into a public hearing?
Make a motion to go into a public hearing.
Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Ron, you want to do a little explanation before we allow the public to be able to speak?
Sure, Mayor.
Go
Thank
ahead,
you.
sir.
So you've seen this item before, obviously. I believe your last time you continued it, sent it back to the planning board for consideration of the colors. They have sent it back with a recommendation reducing the number of colors down to 59 total. 11 of those would be used for trim and 48 used for opportunity for the primary structure itself. Just for the public's benefit, so just remind council too, this does not apply to single family homes. It only applies to commercial properties and multifamily properties in our gateway overlay, or those that are zoning districts in which the urban design standards apply. So, but you do have a recommendation by the planning board to in favor of this, and I'm available to answer questions. I'd only mention the colors because that was seen to be council's primary concern before. Everything else is still in the ordinance from previous.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
So if you need more information, just let me know.
Floor is now open. If anybody would like to speak in regards to this, floor is open. All right. If there's not, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close public hearing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion among council? All in favor?
Aye.
You want to go ahead and do the vote on this? Since we got this, it's not in the agenda, but it would have been for the
Yes, sir. That would be recommended, and remember you need to do a consistency statement.
consistency statement should be in your paperwork there. Would somebody like a motion to go forward with this?
As soon as I find it.
Go ahead.
I'll go ahead and make the motion
ahead.
that we approve in the proposed amendments to the Unified Development Ordinance, and finds that it's consistent with the town comprehensive plan, as the amendments to the gateway overlaid and urban design standards maintain the current design requirements, and that it is in public interest because the amendments encourage commercial development along the major corridors in accordance with goals outlined in the 2017 land use plan.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Next up will be our public comments on agenda items. Wait, go ahead. Public comments on agenda items. If anybody'd like to speak, you're more than welcome to come up now. Last call. Comments on public agenda. All right, if not, we'll move on now. Go to 15.1. Mr. Ron, you can come on back up, please, sir.
Yes, this is a routine item that's before you, is to request that council schedule a public hearing for your August 3rd meeting to consider 3 changes to your UDO that would be bringing the code into compliance with recent legislation approved by the North Carolina General Assembly. One of them has to do with the definition of downzoning. One of them has to do with a waiting period in between a denied like a rezoning application or a map amendment. And the third one has to do with pavement standards with DOT. So by the end, it's just requesting a public hearing.
Any questions from council? If not, I'll entertain a motion to set up a public hearing for August 3rd meeting.
I make a motion that we set up a public hearing for our August 3rd meeting.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you. Next up, it was 15.2, Ron, again. If you got anything for this before the adoption of the rules of procedure for ERC, tree board, and planning board?
I only have for the planning board.
Okay.
There was one item, I was not involved with the other 2 boards.
That's
There was one item, I believe it's the top of page 151, if I'm not mistaken. It has to do with, there was a request at one point by council for the planning board not to have a discussion, an item called planning board comments on your agenda. These rules of procedures includes that. So if that is your desire, you might want to consider taking that reference out.
Thank you. All right. What's the pleasure of council in regards to these rules adoptions?
Has,
I know,
Mr. Clamer, have you gone through all of these, and do you have any suggestions?
I don't have any changes as they're presented, no.
Okay. I read through them, and I found several things, just different things, one of which Mr. Satterfield mentioned. I'm going to pass these out. Some of them are redundant. Let's see, you need 4 that way and 2 this way. So you all know this is Robert's Rules of Order. You see how thick it is. And we ask these boards to adopt this little booklet. But this booklet is not geared toward an ERC. It's not geared toward a tree board. It's not geared toward the different things that we have. So I'll be real quick with this. For the Environmental Resource Committee, the ERC, throughout the document it says board and it needs to say committee. Number 2 on what I handed out, and I think, did we give one to the clerk to make sure she has one? Okay. Rule 3 talks about electronic board meetings, and as it's written is great, but I think for that we need to denote the time that people leave, and then if they rejoin. And number 2, which is Rule 3 in the suggested in this, is throughout all of our committees. And then number 3, it says Rule 5, it talks about going into closed session. And when you look at the general statute, and again, this is for all 3 committees, the general statute that governs closed sessions, there's not a reason why any of our boards or committees should be going into closed session. So I suggest we remove that. If you flip the page and go to 4, it talks about Rule 12, a recessed meeting. It says in the booklet, it says if a town or municipality has a website that is regulated by the town, that this should be on the website. Well, since we have that, we don't need to have if we have that. I think it needs to be just stating that, to change the language to that it reads that a recessed meeting shall be placed on the town's website for the committee. And then number 5, Rule 18 talks about, in their language for the ERC, it talks about a second vice chair, and I don't think we have a second vice chair for that. So the language that I suggest is committee shall designate one of the members present to serve as temporary presiding officer. So those are for the ERC. Then moving to the tree board, the document that was presented needs to actually have the tree board on it, and it needs to have Sunset Beach in those blanks on Rule 1. And then again, Rule 5 talks about closed session. Rule 12 again talks about the recessed meeting, to state that on our website. And then lastly, for the planning board, which will be on page 3 that I handed out, the document that we looked at has some highlights. Those need to be removed. Again, about the Rule 3, electronic board meetings. And then the planning board did take out Rule 6 regarding the closed session, but then they reference closed session throughout that document, so that needs to be cleaned up. And then this question is for Mr. Satterfield. Number 4, Rule 10 talks about notice to the public states 72 hours. Is that in our UDO that it has to be 72 hours? Is the general statute that governs that 143-318-12?
I'd have to go through the UDO specifically, but if we're going to have a meeting that involves, say, a rezoning,
So-
we have to comply with the requirements for that.
That's right.
So we had some discussion, if I remember correctly, Mr. Claymore, I know you and I are both here at that meeting, on what has to be included and not included, particularly with the planning board, because they do operate outside of your typical other boards because they are governed by 160D and what the requirements are. My advice would say, just make sure we're consistent with 160D. There can be a called special meeting with 48-hour notice
That's what
as
this
general
is for.
statutes.
This is what this one is for.
Yes,
For a special
just
call
a special
meeting,
call meeting.
and that should be 48 hours. I couldn't find it in the UDO,
Yeah,
but I know that you know it better than I.
we would not normally spell something out that would apply to all boards and commissions like that. And even looking through these rules and procedures, and I did not say we should take it out, but like electronic meetings, their statutes cover. I don't know that
Right.
we need something like that in
Right.
these specific type of rules of procedures. That's what we tried to take the closed session out because I could not think of a reason why a planning board were going to closed session.
Right. Okay.
So
And then I think number 6, Rule 13B3, I think that's just a typo. And then Mr. Satterfield already mentioned Rule 16 to remove planning board comments. And then 8, I found kind of interesting, Part X, committees and appointments. I don't know why the planning board, maybe you all know a reason why a planning board should appoint another committee. Okay.
So what I've seen in my practice and just, 30 plus years of service is sometimes a planning board may have a committee to take on a specific topic that maybe this coming before them. It could be a code change. Say they want to talk about sidewalks. Just come off the top of my head. And so, they have a couple of experts, maybe engineers just on the planning board. And so they can have a committee, if you will, that would talk on a specific time,
Oh, it's
committee.
for the planning board members would have a subcommittee.
Yeah, like a sub. That's
Okay.
my
Okay.
understanding of that. I
Okay.
couldn't maybe without.
Could we clarify that in the rules to say that it would be a subcommittee of the planning board?
And can you point out that rule again? I'm
I
sorry,
mean,
I'm trying to find it.
sure. So it's going to be Part X, committees and appointments toward the end of that document. And
Number 8.
And what I handed out, it's number 8, but what you're looking at is Part X toward the end.
Committee appointments.
Yes, sir. It says committees and appointments.
Yeah, committee appointments and under Rule 33B. Is that what you're
Page 156,
150 what?
156 on to 157, about.
Yeah,
But
Part
if it's
10.
a subcommittee amongst the membership of the planning board, council, do we feel like we need to specify that so we don't have just an ad hoc committee from people in the community? Not that we don't want public engagement, but the planning board does have that responsibility.
Yes,
So we want to make sure that they are entrusted with it because they've been sworn in by certain.
sure. And
Well,
the way I would
by-
interpret that, the intention would have been like a committee of the planning board on a temporary basis to talk about the specific work item, if you will.
Okay.
On that 33 part B,
Yes, sir.
it basically does say about including non-board members selected by the board.
Yeah, it's a good catch there.
Yeah.
But if it's your intent to be a planning board
That's right.
committee, then
Okay.
3 is a quorum, so a committee of 2, basically.
Yeah.
And then for,
So Katie, on that, we're going to remove the non-board members selected in Mike.
Right.
Is that y'all's thoughts on
Exactly.
that?
that was where I was going.
Yeah.
And then Rule 34. I think we need to remove or add language that the rule does not go into effect until the council approves. Because there, in here, it says that they can amend their rules. And that's, I mean, they've already amended rules, and that's why we're sitting up here to go over these. So I suggest that we add the language that the rule does not go into effect until council approves.
Can I make a suggestion? Maybe
sir.
just, I believe it's bracketed and submitted to town council for approval. Maybe just remove the brackets.
Okay.
I think that will accomplish
Okay.
what you're trying to
Yes, sir.
suggest.
And then Rule 36 states that the board may adopt its own special rules of procedure. Well, I think again, that needs to default to us. So I suggest just removing that altogether.
Yeah.
So that's what I had, and we didn't have one for the Board of Adjustments.
Correct.
Mr. Clamer, we didn't have a set to look at for the Board of Adjustments. So is that coming to us later, or do they not need to do one?
No. And typically, board adjustment is going to be governed by the statutes,
That's right.
what their role,
So we
what
don't
the
have
what
a
the role
single
is.
one.
No,
Okay.
I mean, and that's I mean, the Board of Adjustments, the statute's going to cover that, as well as your UDO already has a lot of what I'll call loosely rules of procedures. It outlines what their duties are, what they have to consider, what is a quorum, how many votes are needed for such and such, and those kind of things. So I believe you're covered already in your ordinance with that.
Is it covered who presides over the meeting,
It says chair, and annually they elect a chair and a vice chair.
but in the absence?
No, but I believe Robert's Rules covers that.
Okay.
Which is presiding officer, which is what you had talked about earlier.
Okay, very good. So do you all like these? Do you
Yes.
not like them? I mean, I
I
think
like
it
'em.
clarifies a lot.
Yeah, we don't want to approve this tonight. We want to make those changes that you've presented and then come back next month.
Table it,
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
table it.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you for documenting this.
Oh, you're
I know
welcome.
We talked about some of it, and it definitely, I feel like, covers concerns that have been addressed.
Well, since I brought this up, may I make a motion that we table this to give staff time to incorporate these edits to bring back to the August council meeting?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Ron. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Your release. All right, next up will be our consent agenda. The May 27th public forum minutes, 2026. The May 27th public forum minutes from the regular meeting minutes. 6/1, I'm sorry. June 1st, regular meeting minutes. The June 15th public hearing minutes. The June 30th special closed closed session meeting minutes. The June 30th. This agenda here is really all crazy. All right, the monthly reports: building inspection, code enforcement, finance, fire, police, public works. Does anybody have any questions in regards to any of those things?
I have one thing. It's on, let me get the exact date, which one it was here. It is on the June 1, 2026 regular council meeting. We had on 15.9, consideration of using the electronic comment portal. The use of the public comment portal was discontinued immediately, but I didn't know if we needed to state in there what we're using instead, because we did decide that during that time, so that folks know that it's out there, the portal is for them to comment. It's on page 34, Ms. Rigsby, if that helps. Okay, thank you. Yep. I had that, and then I had a couple of questions on the reports. I really like the new format that Ms. Bardo asked for regarding the public works, which shows the detail. One comment on there, and Vicki, since you're here, one, it had like 35 hours for doing that mailer that went out about the roll cart. And I didn't know if there was anything there for future reference that we can do to streamline that process. I didn't know if y'all had a machine that folds those letters to put it in, because that's very labor intensive for y'all to do. I was shocked to see those numbers for that. So I didn't know if y'all, automatically can pull the addresses out to print the labels, do a standard thing to print it. Didn't know if there was anything there that we can help in the future to make that a not so time consuming process for your department.
So Sydney printed the labels for us, and then me and Matt had to fold and stuff the envelopes and seal them. I don't think there's any streamlining for that I know of that we
Okay.
have with the town.
Because I didn't know, does the town have the machine, Mr. Claymore, that folds, like you can put it in, it'll fold it automatic, it'll fold them all, and then you just, it saves a lot. I know I've done a lot of mailers before, so,
No,
okay.
nothing of the sort.
I don't know if we maybe need to look at a cost, a price for doing that to streamline, because we've had to mail, don't know what the costs are of that, to look at, because that was a lot of time, but
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
y'all for that. So that was one question I had. I love the code enforcement, the report that details out what's been sent out, and there's been a lot going on there, which is good for residents to be able to see, especially if they're concerned about a property. Obviously, in this month, we're looking at May reports, but hopefully those other reports can be uploaded so that we have June reports for a lot of these areas are already out there. Regarding the fire reports, some of these are printed very small that we received. I don't know if there's a way, Chief Childress, for that to be better viewable. So when the public tries to view it, it's going to be very hard, I think, for people to view that on a device or on a screen, probably, because it's hard to view it. It's hard to read it. I didn't know if there can be any tweaks there just because folks are doing it. And then I didn't see, and on the fire report for May district and everything else, it doesn't really say at the top like fire report and when it's for. I didn't know if that could be done just for when folks are looking at this stuff. It would just make it a little like we know what it is, but people ask me.
I'll
Yeah.
try to revamp that.
Yeah, and then I didn't see the training hours on there, so I don't know if we were missing a sheet or anything, but
I'll double check on that.
yeah, on that, because normally that,
Mhm.
but I just think some of that, what we got this month, but before it's been different, so I don't know if they
It's-
were trying to
so-
shrink it for printing purposes or what.
So we've
but-
got a new, and it's a reporting software that the county uses. It's new for us. We're still in
Okay,
we're still in the process. I want to get you something better, but
Okay,
we're
that's
on
fine.
the struggle bus with this.
That's
It's a brand new thing. It's limited in its ability, so we want to get you something definitely better. But
understand.
it should be coming.
Normally it's easier to
Should be
read.
coming.
so-
It is. It is.
Great, thank you very much. Chief Claymore, for the report here, on page 55 of our packet, like if it even had the date, like it just says when it was printed. Sorry, I went through these because I have a lot of people asking me questions, so. And I'm still getting a lot of questions about the special check on y'all's report. It's the one that for the month of May was 1,093. If you could explain that. I know you've explained it before, but just a lot of people are asking, what is
sure.
that?
Wait, real quick. What was your question on page 55?
Oh, okay. On page 55, when you look at the top of it, if it can just say what month it's for, because it doesn't say on there.
Yeah, we would have to handwrite it. There's no way to change
Oh,
it in
there's
the
not.
system.
Okay,
No, there's no way
okay,
to change it.
okay. Well, I didn't know. Well, that's okay, I guess.
Special checks. We require that when officers do a neighborhood check or, they drive through an area where we might have had some problems, that they document that. So if they entered your neighborhood and they were there for 10 minutes, they'll log that as a special check. That's what you see there.
Okay,
There's a lot of patrolling, a lot of checks on your properties.
okay. And one other on 61, our monthly parking citation report. And again, this would be for May because it just says printed. Is that for the, like, from 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. coverage of any parking citations, including people parked wrong in?
No, this should not have been included in the report. This is ones that we would have entered into our records management system where this came from, not citations that we entered through Surfcast. So the Surfcast report is separate, and that's on page, this would be 53.
53.
That's the Surfcast report that shows parking violations. So that's not, we don't use this portal. So
Okay.
printing that, it's always going to show
Okay.
0 because we use Surfcast.
Okay, I'm not following, I'm not seeing a Surfcast report in my stuff at all, unless it's the one
It's
that's
not-
after page
It's after page 52
62.
or 62.
So 60 is the
Yeah,
one
so
that's
what
not
would be
labeled.
63?
Yeah.
It's not, it just
Yeah,
doesn't
and
have
that's
the
very hard to read.
Yeah.
So again, I don't think residents, so this is the violations that the
Those are
police department
4
gave or that Surfcast gave?
combined.
Okay.
Combined. They're not separated out through the
Okay.
system.
Is there a way to show what our police department gives?
We'd have to hand count them.
Okay. And I don't know if anybody else is receiving.
What do you mean? I mean,
We'd have
Miss Batchelor, what did you? Is, my little thing is misbehaving over here.
Yeah, what I asked was, is there a way to show like Auto Connect what they write in tickets versus what our police department writes in tickets? I'm still receiving a lot of concerns that from 5 p.m. until 9 a.m. regarding enforcement.
Okay.
And to me, it will be good to share data with folks to say it is being enforced, because I know sometimes
Sure.
myself, I can take a walk in the evening and I'll see 8 cars that are parked the wrong way, not in a pot spot. We all see, we know people can't be everywhere all the time, but I'm still hearing that a lot when after Auto leaves or during their time here, I guess. So I didn't even know how to show that in the reports, I guess.
And we'd have to find a way to scroll through all these 400 and some tickets that were written and
Okay.
handpick out the ones that were written by police officers and give you a separate report for that.
Okay. Well, because the monthly, I think they were thinking this monthly, and that's what I thought.
Well, yeah, that would-
I
I can-
thought that was because I'm like,
Sure.
yeah, there's not a lot. I need to, I'll
Yeah, I can
ask
see where that
because
would
I'm
lead
like,
you to do
surely during a whole month, some have been written.
When
know.
you classify the primary incident type, could you classify it differently to say island parking? I mean, is there a way that you could denote it there to let this system know to sort it differently so you wouldn't have to hand calculate that? Because I think we do want to see how often the police department is enforcing parking on the island.
I'll see what the system's capable of. If it's not, then it's not our system. Understand that.
Right.
So we'd have to ask the vendor if that's something that their system is capable of doing.
Perhaps give it a different code or
Yeah,
something.
if they make
something.
changes to the system, it could come with a cost, but I'll find out what I can for you and report that back to you.
Thank you.
You're
Let me
welcome.
see if I had anything else.
While you're looking through that,
think
could
that
I
was
ask a question
Sure.
about the fire and the police? We had a resident that asked about the duplication. Is there a way that you could show that it was I mean, we know that when we have an emergency that all of our first responders go, but is there a way that we could denote the ones that somehow separated, like as Ms. Jones had asked for? Have you given any thought to that?
I haven't, only because there's no way to do that again without hand picking each one that we
Okay.
go through. And
No
that's
worries. I was just
very
wondering.
labor intensive.
She had asked, and I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Chief, are you aware of what this was? So there's the question was the medical calls, which we automatically get dispatched. It automatically shows a number,
Yeah, not we.
and I
we're
don't
not
know
gonna
which
be
ones
able
we
to
do
it,
respond to, which ones we.
unless we that would be a lot of work to
No
separate
worries.
that.
She had asked, and we didn't respond to that. And several people have messaged me wanting to know the answer. So since it was asked and it wasn't answered, I thought I would ask here. So. Ms. Batchelor, thank you for letting me interrupt you.
Oh,
on
you're
that while
welcome.
you
That
were
was
looking
good. I
through
was
the
just-
item.
Any more?
I think that's all I have. Just like I said, people are looking at the report, so I think the more data people can see, the better. And so I figured I'd ask so everybody can hear the same thing.
If there's nothing else, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Town administrator report. Go ahead, Mr. Kim.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Let me finish my notes here real quick.
Yes,
So
sir.
I've got all this ahead of me. All right, well, we are officially 13 days into our new fiscal year, and I want to recognize everybody that worked really hard on this budget to make sure that we're prepared to get started July 1. In particular, our finance director, Alicia Armstrong. Alicia is brand new to the organization, brand new to Black Mountain Software, and she worked really hard to make sure that we got to where we were so that we were up and running and we didn't miss a beat. Hurricanes. We're not going to have any. That's my prediction. You can take that to, I was going to say take it to the bank. I don't know that you want to do that. Staff met at Chief Childress's EOC Center and brought in some new staff, brought Alicia, and talked about what the town does, make sure that we're all on the same page so that if we do get hit with a storm that we all, the right hand knows what the left hand's doing. I've been working with our new on-call engineer for existing projects and the potential of maybe other projects that we might have on the horizon. Actually have a call scheduled with them for Wednesday of this week to talk further about Majestic Oaks. Catchment 7. I don't want to steal Vicky's thunder. I don't know if you want to talk about Catchment 7, but Catchment 7 is nearly completed, thank goodness. And we just have a few things that we have to do. When I say we, the contractor has to do to continue cleaning out the catch basins. They're going to utilize our vac truck, which they're going to pay for every single bit of vac, including any staff time that might be involved, just to get those cleaned out so that we can finalize that project. I mentioned Majestic Oak. One of the things, or two of the things actually, that are pending that the engineer is going to need from us is just landscaping and lighting plans. And this could possibly go out to bid once permits are issued late September, early October. Lastly, as you know, as you likely know, there was quite a good sized fire that happened between here and Shallotte, and members of our fire department were called for mutual aid. I know that they were there for at least 2 days. Some of our police department went to help block traffic, and the chief gave me a really good report on what his firefighters did. And I mentioned that it's in times like that when we need each other, that we don't look at the name on the badge or the color of the patch. We just go, we help, we do our job, and as a result, you see how quickly that was contained. No loss of life, and job well done by everybody. That's all I have.
Any member of council got any questions for the administrator?
Do not.
No. We'll move on. Thank you, sir. Presentation now. Island Parking and Traffic Study, Bolton and Mink. Thank our ladies here. So you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Lorna Allen. I am a representative of Bolton and Mink this evening, presenting the work that was completed for the traffic and parking study. Just to remind everyone, we were asked to review the island on-street parking and assess it based on its current status, how it was built, and any obstructions that may be within the proximity of the parking spaces or within the right-of-way. We were asked to review based on NCDOT, town, and federal standards for safety and visibility, encroachment upon infrastructure or private property. This included encroachment of private property elements into the public right-of-way as well. Potential risk and liability, sufficient or adequacy of placement of parking spaces, again, the standards and engineering judgment by our engineers that perform this work. Our first task was to review the existing town code of ordinances, review Division 3 NCDOT roadway design standards and alternatives, and develop a minimum design criteria checklist and guidelines. We performed task 2 on April 6th and April 7th, walked all of the spaces and addressed each of the on-street space parking spaces, identified items on our checklist by a qualified civil engineer. We have documented this work and classified the parking spaces into 3 categories. We have deficient, which we have identified as a consideration to be removed, modified, where there could be adjustments made for the parking space to remain, and then sufficient, meaning that the parking space is fine as is in its current configuration. In your agenda, we have provided that technical memorandum that states all of the information. We've also provided additional map sets and a spreadsheet identifying all of the parking spaces, their status, and recommendations should they be deemed deficient or modified. Just a few examples of what we found. We did photograph all of the spaces. They are all geolocated. We provided access to that geolocation to town staff, zip those photos, so those are available to staff. So just some examples of what we did find. For deficient spaces, here's an example of a mailbox that is currently in a space that was deemed for a golf cart that is currently not accessible for that. And then an example of a parking space that was built around a existing utility that was also deemed not as deficient as a parking space. An example of a modified parking space would be in a location that mostly is fine, but may have encroachment such as vegetation that is reaching into the parking space or the right-of-way. So that would be an example of a parking space that could be modified to be utilized. And then finally, the sufficient parking spaces are those parking spaces that do not require any modification and that can currently be used as is in their current configuration. Again, we provided that technical memo that is available for you in your agenda, a very thorough spreadsheet of all of the parking spaces and their classifications and those corresponding map sets as to the parking spot location and its classification based on deficient, modified, or sufficient. All right. So with
Did any of y'all get that? I don't have that spreadsheet at all.
the spreadsheet was delivered to staff. The technical memo was in your agenda.
It's not in our packet.
Correct.
Is there a reason why we don't have it?
Talking about this.
I didn't hear what she said. You said it was delivered to.
I have it.
Yeah,
It was
okay.
sent to me. What was
Okay.
forwarded to the council was the memorandum, the final
Okay.
report.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
it
happy to-
has
I'm happy to
all
send
of the parking spaces, but the technical memorandum has the summary of the work performed and considerations for following the study.
But if somebody did want to see it, it's available. Could we put that on the website? Because I know I've gotten a lot of folks to ask for that.
We sure can.
Okay, that'd be wonderful.
I
Thank you.
don't see why we couldn't.
Yep, no problem. Thank you.
Can I ask you one question specifically, because I don't have it to look at the exact spreadsheet to see the exact spot, but have received a lot of feedback from folks that are on what's called our half streets, which goes
The
kinda-
one-ways.
Yes, the one way that were made one way. They used to not be one way,
Right.
just so you know. So that I know you are familiar with Sunset, so you may realize that. But have received received photos. I mean, where people are parking, they're claiming within a foot of there's only a foot is what I've been told, and there's not room there. We're getting photos, videos of people literally getting out of their cars and are clearly on the property of the homeowner. They are laying their stuff up against their house that's so close. The one in particular is on 8th Street. That is very close. And didn't know if there's any, I was a little shocked that supposedly was cleared to be okay, is what I was told. But Didn't know if there's any other feedback you have for us on some of these spots for us to discuss with homeowners or us to decide as a council how to move forward with, because some do seem extreme, and some they were told they were going to be removed and then they hadn't been. So there's just lots of factors going on. So trying to understand from y'all, the experts in this, what should really happen or not. I mean, some they can't hardly get out of their driveway. I mean, so, and sometimes people don't park where they're supposed to park is obviously a problem. But some of these, it's continual issue. And, you know, the thing is, call 911, have the police come out. But sometimes by the time that happens, they're gone. So it kind of, just didn't know if there was anything on those side streets that you could give us as a council to help with this situation.
So I did mention we looked at 5 criteria as stated through the town, NCDOT, and federal standards, and those were agreed upon through our scope to review. The criteria that you just mentioned, and I think you also mentioned, we're looking at driver behavior as probably the biggest issue with encroachment on people's private property. In our next steps, we do provide some near-term considerations. One of those being reviewing and modifying existing spaces. We don't necessarily get down to specificity as it relates to driver behavior because it's a little bit more nuanced. But one of our longer-term considerations is for that evaluation of the parking program and some of those parking spaces that continue to provide issue with the public or private property owners.
What's the cost for that service?
The cost for the
Is there-
review of
yeah,
the parking program. We can definitely discuss that with you all if that is something you're interested in, but
I didn't know roughly what the cost.
we weren't asked to provide a
Ms.
consultant
Baxter,
fee.
we could do it for free. We could, as a council, see that this is really not fair to the rest of the whole island. We have side streets just on one area. And I'm not saying we should have all side street parking. I'm saying that it's not fair and equitable. So we could remove it for that reason. Also, that street is very narrow, and by being one way, that narrowing obstructs views for people. It could be a safety thing. Back in the day, you probably don't remember this, but the fire truck, we didn't have parking on there.
Yeah, I don't ever recall
And then all of
parking
a sudden, the parking appeared, and we were told that parking didn't need to be there because fire truck couldn't be there. And then you go out there, regardless if you're an expert or not, but you go out there and you look and you say, well, these cars are parked here that are right on the side of somebody's house. And I don't know how they would get how you would get the apparatus to put the fire out appropriately. But that narrowing of that street is very concerning. I know it's one way, but it's still concerning. So, Ms. Batchel, we could, if we have council support here, we could do away with those parking spots. You know, we opened up Main Street. But again, I think we need to, as a council, think about if that were your property. It's unusual and it's unlike the other parking spaces where there's a buffer of a driveway. In these side streets, you have the parking space right abutting somebody's property, right underneath their window, where at least the other parking spaces, you have the buffer of a driveway. It's not that many parking spaces. Could we live without those side streets?
I don't know, but maybe she can tell me, based on her definition, how many parking spaces did you guys deem as deficient?
Yep. Yeah, I don't believe there were, but there were a total of 34 on-street spaces that were deemed as deficient.
34 of those, and how many for modified?
Modified had a total of 145.
135?
45.
45.
And that's sufficient, which meant they met all the criteria, left us with how many?
125.
Okay.
So 125 spots were good only.
Good to
That's
go.
all.
Yeah, they didn't have any issues. And when I say modified, it may just be vegetation that is encroaching.
Right.
So reason I asked this at this point is because as you start to look at street-specific parking,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to drop those numbers dramatically in one
Yes,
way or the other.
correct.
And I guess we should take a hard look as to see what we're going to do on any particular area.
Correct. And what we provided y'all with is a very thorough account for every single space and corresponding maps. So for specific one-offs like those half blocks, you can take a really close look at those and decide if those fit with kind of within the mission of the parking program and what you're trying to provide.
Mr. Clamer, I know you and your staff and the fire staff and the public works, I think director and deputy director, went out there and you all identified some early on that were not usable, and you all did away with them. Thank you for doing that. Were those part of these ones that were either done away with or modified? Did they count in here for the
They
number
do.
that she
They do.
referenced?
The ones that we marked prior to engaging the services of Bolton and Mink are included in this. I know that now also that Public Works is in the process of working to address some of the encroachments. So we have clear guidance from NCDOT as far as the right of way and our abilities on that Main Street right of way, and property owners that have encroachments into the right of way that affects a parking space are going to be mailed a letter to let them know that they have to remove that encroachment.
And if they don't, there's a penalty with a financial penalty.
If they don't, we're going to remove it, and then they're going to help.
Do we
Okay.
assess them the charge for that? And then if they don't pay it, we put a lien on the property? Is that kind of how it goes?
That we haven't got that far into it yet, but that would be my feeling on it, that if they don't comply with that letter and we have to go out there and spend taxpayer funds, then we need to recoup that. And if I may, these pictures, I've seen these before. This is a people problem. I mean, it's yes, people got out of parked vehicles, but walking onto someone else's property is not a parking problem. It's a people problem. This lady with the dog underneath someone's house, likely not related to parking.
No.
Well, I think the issue is, though, I understand what you're saying, Chief, but I also think the parking spaces have created people coming there to park. And the people, because when they open their door, they're basically against their house. That is also creating this. And unfortunately, it is a narrow street, and that's where the parking got placed. And this particular homeowner of these, I mean, they're spraying suntan lotion onto her home. They're going under her house. They're letting their dogs do. I mean, it's a little bit of everything. And these are just some examples that I know I hear about from some of these homeowners weekly. And to me, it is concerning because we put spots right up against the side of their house. And these are spots, if you don't know, that people can park in 24/7. So people come off the beach at midnight or 2 a.m. and slam their door, have blaring music. So it's a whole host of issues that can come with this. And as Ms. Bordeaux was saying, some of these, not all on the side streets, but there are some that are definitely very close to homes. And this particular property owner had stuff marked off, no trespass. I mean, but it's not stopping them. And what do we do? I mean, to me, as a council, do we allow this to continue to happen to somebody's property by how these spots are set up? Because I can tell you, none of us sitting here in the audience or none of us sitting up here would want that going on at their residence.
You're
at
right.
all.
You're right.
And it's happening all the time. And you know, to me, I think it's something we need to consider looking at, especially some of these spots. I'm not saying it has to be every one of them, but some of these spots definitely are very concerning. And if people can't really get out of their driveway, I mean, I've driven several of it this week, looking at it very closely for this meeting, and it's very concerning that we've set that up there for these property owners. And some that had boats or had larger truck vehicles, they can't get out because when cars are parked there, and some of them are having to not pull in their driveway, they're parking this way sideways so they can get in and out. So that's not fair to the property owner either, I don't feel like. So I would like to hear y'all's take. Like I said, I'm hearing a lot of it because I am on the island. And I don't know if y'all have, I know some she sent. I did say I would share these photos with council. But they're kind of at their wit's end as a property owner. What do we do? I mean, their only option is to sue. And if you know, none of us want that, but also how do we work with our taxpayers to not create, when you go out there and look on 8th Street, how close this is, it's close. I mean, so
Miss
to me,
Batchel,
it's close.
I don't live on the island, but I'm on the island because we all represent people that live there. And to echo every point that I've said, I'm going to say them again because this is near and dear to a lot of people that live over there. It's not equitable or fair that we have parking on some side streets and not all of them. And I'm not saying that we need to have them on the side streets or the number streets. I am saying that we should look at maybe taking some of them out. The second is it's a very narrow area that's very dangerous for cyclists, people that are pedestrians, for little children. You can't see them jutting out. Narrowing also creates, there's not a buffer there. So somebody is getting out of a vehicle to get right on the side of your house. That we're setting that vulnerability up for somebody's home to be damaged on the side, whereas the other parking spaces that are, say, for instance, on Canal or North Shore or on Main Street, there's a buffer there. There's a driveway there, some gravel. So if somebody's out there spraying something or wanting to put a chair, it's not leaning against somebody's house. They're not spraying, suntan lotion, or they're not slamming a door right up underneath somebody's bedroom window. Are y'all concerned about these things for our residents, that they have to endure this? I mean, because I know we would not want to live there. And again, I don't live there, but we've all driven around. I mean, we ride the roads. We see this. We know it's a problem. These people have contacted us. Common sense on this is some of those need to be removed.
I think proximity in a view of somebody, proximity to their house or parking space is different for every person. Some people think if it's 20 feet away, it's too close. Some people say if it's 40 feet away, I think you have to actually look at the spot and see what the problem is. I don't think we can take a broad brush and say it's for everything. I think if you want to take a look, we look at each one and say, okay, they got 10 feet between a parking space, or because my neighbor's only 15 feet from my house. Okay, so right next to me.
But you know your neighbor, and your neighbor's not going to go over there and destroy your property. If he or she does, y'all probably going to have prayer.
But I don't know the golfers. But I don't know the golfers who come on my property.
But the golfers, have a buffer, and they come into my yard too to get their ball or whatever. But I'm glad that you want us to look at this.
Yeah.
Thank you. And could we say that we go? I mean, since we have to decide this, I think we need to go out there and look at these side streets and picture if this were your home and this was your oasis. Do you want somebody that close to you? And because we can say we don't want parking spaces here. We have that ability to do that. And we could use some tutelage from you all as well. Or the best tutelage is the man I'm looking at, is our police officer and our fire chief to give us some guidance. But at the end of the day, we've got to remember, what is it like if this were your home? And we created this. There was no parking there before. So a lot of these people bought these homes and the parking was not there. And they've got it in the front of their house. They've got it on the side of their house. And we've created this. So could we?
I know the term broad brush was just used, and I think if we're going to look at eliminating any parking spaces or all parking spaces on a street, We do need to look at it with a broad brush for the side streets. Ms. Bachelor, as you said, or I'm sorry, Ms. Bordeaux, as you said, it's not fair that there's parking on some side streets and not others. So if we remove parking on some side streets and not others, that's just as unfair. So I'd say it's all or none.
I'd like to say, just share with you what I observed today while I was over on the island, and that is people are stopping on those numbered streets and offloading their gear and their children and, you know, whatever they're going to the beach with. If you eliminate those parking spaces, and this family does have a legitimate, you know, concern there. If you eliminate those parking spaces, those spaces that are not for parking will definitely be used for loading and unloading. And if the problem is bad, it'll get much worse with that going on all day long. That's what's something you got to take into consideration. You know, we could, like I say, we can remove them if you want, but we have to look to see what the result of that is going to be. Because what I observed today was 2 carloads of families stop, get on the right side of the roadway, and offload everybody. I think it was about 8 of them that got out of 2 vehicles. And they were right at the edge of the roadway, stepped into the grass, went up on the grass, the whole 9 yards. With the cars parked there, there is a little bit of a buffer and it gives them a break. I'm just explaining to you what I observed today. We have to think about how we're going to, you know, resolve this.
Thank you for that. Would you consider, like, if we were to remove a spot, that we put some kind of vegetation there that's not encroaching in their yard, but have some kind of vegetation there so that they wouldn't do what Mr. Arnold just explained?
We did provide for y'all a consideration to conduct a beach access plan, which would further review what your needs may be as it relates to access, loading and unloading, safety and emergency vehicle access. So for some or all of the spaces, they could be considered in various ways, and beautification and streetscape design could be part of that.
Some of the repurposing of Main Street spots that Public Works and police are looking at are to use those as loading and unloading zones.
Okay.
So temporary drop-offs, those sort of things, which would hopefully move those people off the side streets that want to unload.
Yeah, and I think that's a valid concern, Mr. Arnold, and I think we have talked amongst ourselves too when we were discussing the parking, that some of those spots that can't be used, how do we repurpose them? And the loading and unloading definitely seems to be needed in areas, because if not, they just stop in the middle of the road and unload everything. I mean, literally, we see it all. I mean, if you really watch it enough, you see about every scenario. The human nature scenario of what happens is kind of comical at some point, but not good if it's right by your house. So what's our plan to move forward on this? Are we gonna all go out there and look at the spots? Are we gonna say, I'm kind of with you, Ken, I agree that some of these spots are concerning, and I think we can't, some are very concerning, or on some of the streets it's not as impactful as in others, but why do you have it on one and not the other, the fairness thing? And throughout the rest of the island we don't have that. And the other thing that I've noticed is, since those have became one way, it is amazing if you sit there and watch for like 15 minutes even, how many cars come down the wrong way street when they should not be coming down it. They are very short streets. They're called the half streets. So to me, the flow of that, people aren't even paying attention. I think they're all trying to find somewhere to park and get to the beach. They're not watching that it is a one-way street. And I mean, I could count 10 cars every time I'm out there for 10 minutes that do it. So, and we don't have staffing to have somebody sitting there policing it all the time. So do we open them back up to how they were, where they weren't one-way streets? Also doing that, you know, things to discuss, but it does seem to be. And from a fire department perspective, Chief, I mean, I have been told that the fire truck cannot go down those streets with cars parked there. And I didn't know, I've not heard that from you, but I don't know what y'all, I've been told by some homeowners, oh, they said they're going to have to be this far away from my house. And I don't know if that's true because, you know, different people have, I haven't heard anything from you, but I've heard this from residents telling me they've heard that from firemen, but whether that's true or not. So what's your take on
So
it?
we can make the turn. The problem is sometimes the cars are out in the road.
They are.
So if we have on the opposite side where there's a home, if there's cars, you know, really close on the driveway to the road there, or if the cars that are in the spaces are out, it's tight. It's tight.
So to
But
me,
if-
that's a public safety concern, would you say?
Mhm.
Because if you can't get your fire truck in there, your ladder truck's going to be needed, and
That's right.
all kind of. If there's truly a house fire on the island, we know how the winds are, everything else. That's
So
very
you
concerning.
said, suppose somebody parks wrong.
Mhm.
I've never gone over there and everybody's parked perfect.
That's right.
And the chance that this happens,
Mhm.
I don't want to live my life on a chance like that. You're telling us that it is a concern.
It is.
And we didn't have parking before there, before our parking, whatever you call this, parking plan.
Mhm.
We didn't have parking there. And all of a sudden, the parking spots appeared there. And I, too, I mean, I said that earlier in my remarks. It just takes one person to lose a life out there, or somebody's house to burn all the way down on something that we created that vulnerability. And I would like for us to remove the side streets altogether. The side street park. I want to remove the side streets. I want to remove the side street parking, just for what you just said, because that's very concerning. Excuse me. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. If we decide that we're going to remove cars from parking on those streets, we have to put up no parking at any time for the residents as well, because if their car is parked out there, the fire truck has the same issue. So it's got to
Well, I
be no
think-
parking on that street.
It can be not two-way. I mean,
Well,
right now it's one-way, so it would open up to two-way if we wanted to do that. But I don't know about traffic flow. But that would alleviate that because nobody's going to park in the middle of the street.
No, but the people who decide they want to park out on the, if you wish, the right of way, they're in the same issue as people who are parking there under our parking plan.
Agreed.
Well, if you're going to make it clear for those streets to be totally wide open, it's got to be no parking on either side of the street.
Well, you know, we
Correct.
have the designated parking spaces,
Yeah.
so that's not a designated park there. So they shouldn't be parking there anyway. And if they get a ticket, you give 2 or 3 people some tickets, they'll learn to
Wait till
stop
you see
doing
the
that.
complaints about them not parking in front of
Well,
their
I
house.
mean, but we've
Well, they can
we've-
always park in. They can park in their driveway like we all can. Anybody can that lives anywhere in town. It's kind of the same thing. You can park in their driveway,
But
but,
we've
if
kept-
not, they've got to park in a designated parking
That's right.
spot.
We've couched it that way, designated. How many times do we hear designated parking spot? A lot. And people have been, for the most part, I would say they've honored that. So they would have to learn. And I think that those folks that live on those side streets are going to be so appreciative. They're not going to take advantage of this. And if they do, they get a parking ticket and they'll learn not to do that anymore.
There's an ordinance that states that there is no parking on side streets, and it specifies the streets. When the council adopted the parking plan, they made an amendment to the side streets that currently have parking. At this council, if you choose to eliminate the parking and wanted to go back to two-way travel on the side streets, we'd have to amend those ordinances.
Sure.
It would be that simple.
I mean, you all heard what our fire chief said, and we would not be doing our duty to allow those parking spaces to stay there. And then later on, we have a fire. Somebody is hurt, somebody's killed, somebody's house is damaged because of our wanting to have parking spaces there. So I'm going to make a motion that we do away with the side street parking spaces on 8th Street through 11th Street. That's my motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Move on next to your discussion item, golf cart permitting, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Lorna, for being here.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Oh, yes, thank you. You didn't want to stay? Thanks.
This is simply for discussion. I don't expect any sort of action on this tonight. This is just to have a conversation about the possibility of permitting golf carts. This was brought to the council June of 2021 as a consideration. North Carolina General Statute gives this council the authority to allow golf carts to operate on the roadways under a permit. What this would do for the residents of Sunset Beach that have a golf cart, it would allow them to operate under the conditions that you set, the times that you set. There's so many things that you would have the ability to control, such as the required equipment on the cart. And the homeowner, the taxpayer, would not have to annually apply for a license plate tag through the DMV. They would not have to pay property taxes. This town would set, or this council rather, would set the requirements for application for any fees that would be collected by the town for our inspections and for permitting. And my thoughts on this are that golf carts are slower, therefore they're safer as long as they're operated correctly. I see somebody shaking their head. If they're operated correctly and they use the required safety devices that are in them, and they don't consume intoxicating beverages while they're or before they operate them, it's safer because they're slower. Does it create some tension for automobiles that are trying to go over the bridge? Perhaps. But we're on vacation, right? We should slow down, enjoy the view. But this is just for discussion. We have 90 golf cart spaces, upwards of 90 golf cart spaces on Main Street. 88. That are not full. They're prime real estate. If we can encourage a vehicle that has a smaller footprint, that's not opening a door into a bicycle lane, that's not opening a door into a sidewalk, to come to the island, I think this is an opportunity to do that. I talked with Jim Varner with Surfcast. They do our parking enforcement, and he said enforcing and permitting a permitted golf cart would be very simple. As long as there's a number that's associated with that permit, they can issue violations and they can issue permits. So if a resident wanted to register their automobile and one golf cart, they would give those two identification numbers to Surfcast at the beginning of the season, and they'd be in the system for their 2 free permits. So as I mentioned, this is just simply a discussion. If this is something the council does want to consider, I would plan to bring this back for a future agenda item. But this is something that would not go into effect this calendar year.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
As part of the, if you wish, the police department taking a look, you're obviously going to issue the permits by looking at the vehicle.
Correct.
Will they be required to have seat belts?
If the council chooses.
Okay.
My recommendation would be absolutely. They should have seatbelts.
So a golf cart and an LSV were 2 different things. LSV has a 16-digit vehicle identification number, has all those safety features, the brake lights, reflector lights, the rear view mirror, what do you call it? I call it a horn, but whatever it's called, the thing you blow to denote somebody's, in the way.
It's a horn. Yep.
And horn. Well, I was going to say toot the horn or blow the horn. I don't know which verb to use. But so why would we even, if we're going to have them to modify that, why would we encourage that? I remember back in the day, and I mean back in the day like 20, 30 years ago, when the planned communities wanted to have these. And their thing was that you need to get the 16-digit VIN. You need to get the low-speed vehicle. and they kind of outlawed the golf carts altogether. Do we have a lot of people that are wanting this? I mean, because we moved as a state, we kind of moved away from this, and I know you referenced some towns that have it, but their beach land is a whole lot different. Their construction configuration of their town is different than ours. We do have that bridge. That even the LSVs are slow. So do we have a lot of people that are asking for this, or how did this germinate?
We don't have a lot of people that have asked for it. One of the things that you could do, and I'll get to the second part of your question, but one of the things that we could do is we could say that the permitted golf carts can't operate after dusk. So if you think about the dangers of the golf carts and our LSVs that we see now and how they're operated after dark, this is something that if they were permitted, the council could direct that at dusk they're to be parked. Unless it has a plate on it, then it can't be operated. How did this germinate was the question. We have all those parking spaces on Main Street that we cannot use for anything else other than golf cart and motorcycle parking. They're not ideal for motorcycles. As a motorcycle rider, I cannot park parallel in that spot, and likely my kickstand's going to get buried in those stones. But to encourage golf carts to utilize those spaces, I thought this was an opportunity to perhaps follow what the general statute allows. And if this council sees fit, then folks would save a little bit of money in property tax as well.
Is the LSV use, is there a reason we wouldn't just encourage that? I guess I did not realize until reading all this in the packet the difference between golf cart and an LSV. I guess I
There's a
thought they
difference.
were one, because a lot I know are tagged, they're inspected, they're all of that. So I don't own a golf cart, so I didn't know. But I know I've been on plenty,
Sure.
so I didn't really realize the difference. Obviously, I know. Obviously, from reading all this information, now I do, which was very helpful. I guess, is there a huge price difference in the golf carts from the LSV golf carts? I mean,
I don't know that.
I didn't
answer.
know.
There
I
is,
don't have
Ms.
a-
Baxter,
Okay, yeah.
because it's a nicer, I'm gonna call it a ride. It's a nicer ride.
Yeah.
I don't know why we would want to even introduce this to our community. It's gonna be a slower vehicle. It only goes up to 20 miles an hour. We've got to buy decals, or it's not gonna have a license tag, so we got to have something. And Surfcast or Auto or whoever they are, they could do this, but it's going to come to a price to us. We're not going to win anything of it. We live in a very nice community, and these golf carts, the LSVs are very nice. They're very safe. They have all the features that I just mentioned. If somebody's going to take a golf cart that they bought at a golf course and soup it up or modify it or whatever it is, why would they just not buy the true LSV? And it seems like we would want to encourage them to buy that because it's safer than trying to modify something and it doesn't pass inspection, or if it's on the borderline and then it breaks somewhere during the next inspection, and then we've created somebody to be unsafe.
LSVs cost about more than twice as much of a golf cart because of the safety features you have in it. There are a lot of things on it, but and also you got to look at the speed limit. Golf carts are going 11, 12 miles an hour if they're lucky, depending on their batteries. And
So up the bridge, they're probably going 5.
well, I'll tell you, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
introducing that kind of mix in our roadways to me would be unsafe for our community.
Well,
People
no,
they
yeah.
might be on vacation, they might be retired, but we do get impatient sometimes.
I would have less of a problem if Sunset Beach was one big island. But coming over that bridge and being 5 to 8 miles an hour slower than the speed limit on a car forces those cars to try to go around you. And I'm not for it.
I have that concern as well. And the one thing that jumped out to me the most on page 105 of our agenda the waiver for liability, it says each owner will have proof of ownership, liability insurance, and a completed waiver of liability, releasing the county, state, town from liability that may arise as a result of an operation of a golf cart inside the entity. The documents must be at the golf cart at all times while in operation on public roads. So I don't know if that's because, to me, that was concerning that that would have to be there to release us of the liability. What if it's not in there? And does it open us up as a town to safety, obviously safety concerns like you expressed, Mr. Posdall, but also liability for the town? And to me, I understand, Chief Claymore, your reason for this. I think we want to get people, we want to get our residents using the spots that are the, what I've always called golf carts, LSV spots, but I guess they're really LSV motorcycle spots only. I guess I've just always thought it one and the same myself. But because those are the spots closest to the beach, and unfortunately, due to the NCDOT, they have to be golf carts there, or LSV spots. Yeah, we're calling them the wrong things because. So I don't. Should our signs even say LSV instead of golf carts? I mean.
And just
So anyway, just
the final
yeah.
point on this whole thing
Yeah.
is that we say Sunset Beach residents, but we got a lot of ETJ that are going to be out there that may want to have golf carts and do the same thing. Do we extend that to them?
Oh, yeah.
And it's another issue. I don't know. I'd wait another year before I'd even entertain it because I think more and more people are getting LSVs. That certainly has
Yeah.
populated my neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's slowly we're going to fill them up. That's all I have to say.
Chief, you say that. Let me ask you this question. So we had a lot of conversation here about crossing the bridge, vehicles going 5, 8 miles an hour. If I'm at 20 miles under the speed limit, am I not impeding traffic?
Mhm.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
The speed limit's 35 over the bridge, so it could be argued that some of the LSVs that are licensed by the state of North Carolina are impeding traffic.
Okay.
And I see the LSVs move over to the side. I watch vehicles cross over the double yellow line to get around those LSVs, which they should not do. So there's no perfect scenario short of. There's no perfect scenario.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask that question. I wasn't sure what it was in North Carolina.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on then to our.
Yep.
You got something else?
Nope.
Okay. RFQ roll cart services. We have Mr. Claymore on this.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. What you have before you is a request for qualifications that we're asking for the council to approve so that we can advertise for a roll cart service for the town. And as the background says, this would give the residents the option to sign up for a roll cart service through the town, which would be facilitated by town staff. The way I picture this is, and we do have a vendor that submitted an unofficial quote. It's nothing that we asked for. They just gave us a breakdown of their services and gave us a price of what they would charge. And they are offering quite a discount if the entire town is available to get on this program. So our thought is if we can do this facilitated through the town, that residents would have the opportunity to sign up before the end of the year, say November. And we then would collect the payment, similar to what we do with recycling, send a spreadsheet and the payment to the firm that's selected. And then beginning January 1 on the calendar year, those services would begin. And residents then again would have the opportunity to sign back up sometime during that calendar year for the next year. And this would be a service that's available for every resident of Sunset Beach, not just a select few.
Thank you for pulling all this together with Public Works.
Vicki did a lot.
And thank you, Vicki. I know prior to the other hard decision we had to make about the rollback service, we wanted to have an option for residents to look at. I definitely feel like what other towns do, this could save our residents money if they choose to have the service versus paying directly. One question I had reading through it was, what would our plan be if somebody builds a house and they move in, let's say in March, and they didn't, they can't, do they have to wait till November, or will the vendor allow them to contact them directly to get added on, or is that something the town would do? Same thing with the new build, or if somebody buys, because as we know, properties are always changing hands throughout the year. So to me, we would like for them to get on that program. Is that something we could administer, maybe monthly, to send them an updated list to charge, or is it something they would need to contact the vendor directly for? I do feel like we need to make sure and offer, maybe somehow in our quote, can they do that capability so that we can get our residents the service they need, kind of just like their trash being picked up. It's
Ms.
the same
Baxter, on
service.
page 161,
Yep.
it does specify that they can't add. And I think we would want to make sure
It
that they
does,
have that, that is afforded to them,
Yeah.
because we wouldn't want to penalize somebody. And also needs ebbs and flow. I noticed that too, the contract term.
Yeah. And I didn't know if we had specifics, like if you lived here and you have that option, but if you're new, like say if you're a new resident and you're just moved here, just built, then you can sign up outside of the frame, possibly.
Could be any reason. I mean, like say, for instance,
but
somebody's husband or wife gets a job somewhere else and you're not here as much, and you have to relocate. I mean, what are they going to do? We sure don't want them having the.
I did have a conversation with a different vendor that came to the lobby to talk about this, and in our, again, unofficial conversations, if our sign up period is October 1st through November 30th, and somebody misses that, or they have a build and they don't move in until March, they just contact the vendor directly.
Right.
Sign up with the vendor. Any vendor. If they want to get on the town's program, then they will get on that at the next program.
Could we, on page 61, the contract term, could we delete that where it says no additions or service changes will be permitted after sign up date has closed? I mean, since you had side conversation, but could we somehow, do y'all agree that that may be burdensome to a homeowner if they have a change of a condition?
How do we do recycling? Do we allow additions to recycling throughout the year? Just for new builds? Do we want to
think
follow suit with what we do with recycling?
But recycling is a different thing. If you're not there, you're wanting it to be consistent with the recycling, and we don't allow anybody.
I'm just thinking of the time that staff's going to spend if we allow monthly changes. If somebody wants to add and take off, and if they're only here for 3 months and they want to have trash service for 3 months. So they sign up and then they withdraw, and then 3 months later they want to sign back up.
We don't do a pro rata share of but we could.
Are they going to pay for the year, or they're going to be billed monthly? How's that going to work?
They're going to pay for the year.
That's what I thought. But I thought it said in here no refunds. So to me, if you pay for the year, you wouldn't cut it off, because I don't know why you would.
161 as well.
Yeah,
with
that's what it
contract
said.
terms.
No prorated refunds.
Yeah,
will be issued.
we'll gladly change it to whatever direction this board gives.
My concern is if a new build or somebody buys a house in our community, to me, you need to give them the opportunity to do that, whether it be through the town or whether it be they can contract the vendor directly to get added and they pay for that until our contract starts back. I think just if we're sending out this request to the vendors, it would be good to have it in there to say, will you allow? We would like to residents to be able to is there a way for them to contact you directly? And I don't know if this process is going to be, Vicki, where they come in through the portal. Are they going to come in through a portal to sign up, or are you?
Yes.
I didn't know the full process. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be online.
So really, it would be kind of an online report or something that could be pulled. Yeah, yearly, that one will be done, and then maybe monthly one could be pulled, possibly, to add or not. I mean, just talking through it, what would make sense. But for recycling, how do you do that now with recycling? If somebody is a new build, how do you know to add them in? Is that through the portal they come through to do it?
Yep.
So could it be a similar report to?
I think a new build should be able to sign up either through the vendor or through us for the remaining of the year that they have, and then go on the town normal registration. But I don't think we should anyway encourage people to say, I'll sign up for 3 months, go off for 3 months because I'm going to Europe and I'm coming back for 3
Oh, I
months.
agree.
Because that's too crazy.
I agree.
Sign up for the year. And if you don't want it, okay.
Or if you cancel it, your contract's over, and then you would have to repay to do it or
And we're-
whatever.
No,
We're saying a new build. What about somebody that's a new homeowner for that particular
Yeah,
home?
I think it should be for both. If you
Right.
move here,
Yeah.
if you buy a house or a new build, either
And
one.
it's for the year, right?
Yeah.
So whether they want to come, ebb and flow, let them ebb and flow, let them do whatever they want to do. They're paying for the year. They can notify the vendor, this is when I need the service, this is when I,
well, if the can isn't out there, they're not going to be
Yeah,
able
they
to
don't
push
really-
it back, so it just goes out to the next house.
Yeah, they really wouldn't need to contact the vendor, I wouldn't think, would they? I wouldn't think. What do you think? Do you think that's too much or to request? Okay.
so we're just wanting to remove that from the RFP. That's, or is
The
this,
contract terms.
yes, sir.
Remove all of it? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
I
It's
think,
the first sentence. No additions or service changes will be permitted after sign-up date is closed.
right.
Leave the following sentence that reads, cancellations are permitted at any time. However, no prorated refunds will be issued.
That's fine.
yeah. And I think then it will be up to the vendor too, to determine, are they just gonna do a price for the year, no matter when you hop in or not? You know, that might be a way to also discourage it. You hop in and sign up to start January 1. If you hop in March, you may pay the same amount. Do you pay the same amount? So that make, you know, hate to say it, but drive behavior so that it's covered.
Well, let's let the vendor
Yeah,
decide.
exactly.
Right.
That's what I'm
and-
saying. They decide the
um,
cost or
right.
how they do it.
We'll find all that out when we get RFQ. Our job here tonight is decide,
Right.
let's get RFQ.
Exactly.
If you
Well, we've
want it
got
or
to
if you
take
don't.
some of the language out of the RFQ.
But our,
Yeah.
That's-
but our thing
um,
is here, just if it's a new build or somebody new to Sunset Beach, that is your only option to add in later.
Mhm.
Correct. Okay. Because we don't want that going on all the time. Well, I would like to make a motion that we, if there's no other comments, that we approve sending this out for bid.
I don't know if we need
We need
I think we need something. I think we just have a consensus
Yeah.
to go ahead
Okay.
and send it out and see what we get back.
Everybody's on board with it.
Yeah, with that.
Go ahead.
Good.
Yep.
Going
Yep.
forward,
Good.
so we'll let the staff put out that.
Thank y'all.
All right, next up is our ordinance amendment, no through trucks on certain streets.
Mr. Mayor, at the last meeting, we changed an ordinance to prohibit through trucks on 6th Street. On further investigation, there are the following streets that are signed that that through trucks are prohibited. There's no ordinance language. I'm just asking council to adopt language for Park Road between Sunset Boulevard and Shoreline East, Shoreline Drive East between Park Road and Sunset Boulevard, and Clubhouse Road between Shoreline West and Old Georgetown Road.
Mr. Claimer, if somebody were to go down one of those roads and the sign is there, what happens to that driver of that truck?
They could be cited under general statute.
And is it a penalty that you all issue financially? Is it just like a ticket?
They would go to court. They would
Okay.
receive a court date.
And a truck, how is it defined?
That's a good question. It's not going to be easy to
Yeah.
define.
Well, I mean, is it a
So it's not
certain
a
weight?
pickup. It's not
Right.
like a pickup like I drive. It's more of a commercial motor vehicle, if
So
you
it will
will. So like
be-
a FedEx vehicle is classified as a truck.
So an
we
18
By one
wheeler,
example.
all of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Should we specify that in the ordinance, define what a truck is? I mean, I think it would be a weight limit, DOT.
Mr. Arnold, you work for DOT, would it be a
what-
weight limit?
Well, what I was going to say was if we didn't say truck, we just say commercial vehicle.
So would that be a mail truck?
Could be a UPS truck, could be,
The mailman?
FedEx, not the mailman, not because the mailman drives like the van or the personal vehicle that they are hired to do that through, but a larger vehicle. That's what I'm saying, a commercial vehicle. Because when you say trucks, the word trucks is so broad.
Mhm.
If I own a pickup truck, am I not allowed to drive on the street? It doesn't tell me that.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It needs to be I feel
Yeah.
it should be something that says commercial vehicle.
DOT will have a standard on what
And the chief is going to
I'm going to
give us
pull
a
you up
bit.
that
a
right
truck
now.
is, yes.
Under GS 20-4.01, a truck is formally classified as a vehicle carrying commercial license plate that is designed or used to transport property or passengers. It says this legal definition explicitly excludes personal pickup trucks and passenger vans. So then it goes into commercial motor vehicles, talking about the gross vehicle weight rating, vehicle weight classifications, roadway restrictions, and so on.
Is there support up here to add that language, that general statute, to our ordinance so it's clearly denoted what it is?
Do you want that in the ordinance?
It can't hurt to put it in our ordinance. We're going to follow what's in general statute, but we can do so.
I think it would be good to define it because that's the question I had is what classifies it as a truck.
Sure.
And I would say driving these three different roads as well as the 6th Street at North Shore East, from North Shore East to 6th Street, there's a sign that says no through trucks, but you're kind of like like on OU 6th Street, for example, in North East. So when you come on the island and you make the left on North Shore East, you're coming down, the sign is almost where you get to the bend in the road where Riverside cuts off before you go. It's there saying no through trucks. That's the only one I saw there. So that truck, if there's a commercial truck, it's came all the way down there, and then where's it going to turn around at? Is my one question. And when I drove some of these other streets as well, it's kind of like if you've already turned in like park here, you've already turned in to the start of it when you see that one sign there. Kind of, it's kind of that way at the different ones. I don't know if
That's how
I know me personally, I never even noticed those signs, and
people
I've
don't.
driven those roads many times. I don't know if we need some sort of bigger, if we truly don't want these commercial trucks there, I feel like we're going to need better signage or something, because to me, you almost can miss them even when I'm driving out there looking for them. It's like, oh, there it is. And it's like, if I'm driving a truck down there, where are you even going to turn the truck around at? And I think some of these have been there a long time, so we're cleaning up the stuff, but I don't know if y'all rode around to look at these to see where they were, but that was my observation is I didn't know there was no through trucks there, and it sounds like they've been there a while on most of these, but I know 6th Street they're going from North Shore, where I don't know where a truck's going to turn around, and some of these other roads, it's not a good place for you almost need at the beginning when they're coming on something more that alerts them. And also there's the enforcement thing. Do we ever give tickets on this? And obviously I've seen many trucks on some of these roads.
Yeah, this isn't that simple. If we just see a truck on
Yeah.
that street, for example, Clubhouse between Shoreline and Old Georgetown, some truck literally has to drive through.
Right.
So there's a
Right.
lot of places they could pull off, and an officer has to follow them. So
Yeah.
as far as the placement of signage, any street that is signed as a no truck through truck street, the proper placement of that sign is on that street where that prohibition takes place. So the sign that we have on North Shore is further ahead than where it really should be, but it's to give that courtesy to the driver before they get down on the 6th Street. So if we want to do North Shore Drive, the problem is if we start giving advance warning, then we're just making more and more real estate, if you will, mileage of roadway that is prohibited for truck traffic.
Right.
And I don't know that that's the intention.
The
I can
problem,
tell you it's not my intention.
Right.
But then you've got the difference with the trucks that are going to deliver something versus the through trucks.
Which they, correct, and they would not
Right.
qualify
And
as a as a through truck.
If they're just
they
going to
stop.
drop off a refrigerator and going back, it's not a through truck.
Correct.
How do your guys, or excuse me, your staff, how do they know that it's
They follow
not doing that? I mean, they have to go follow them?
They'd have to follow them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, even off of Clubhouse, there's so many roads off of Clubhouse. To me, it's very, I could see if I was a
It is.
delivery driver
It's
out
more of a
there in a
voluntary
truck, how are
compliance.
you going to
Yeah.
know? And to me, they've always kind of, I mean, I see trucks through there all the time.
It's
so
it's
like
more of a
the-
voluntary compliance as
Yeah.
it is a proactive enforcement, and it gives
Yeah.
us teeth if somebody would complain. If they
Right.
say every morning this whatever truck drives through the street and it just cuts through every single morning, it gives us teeth, because otherwise there's no prohibition against driving on a street.
Right.
Where this then gives us teeth.
One question I have for you, Chief. Sunset at Sunset, the bus route that brings the people to the event, they get on Shoreline Drive East and go all the way down, then make the left onto the end of 904, and then head back to Sunset Boulevard that way. Will this prevent them from doing that?
I don't know that that would be tagged as a truck.
Okay.
It's a for hire vehicle. It depends on the gross vehicle weighting of that bus,
Okay.
the weight of that bus, whether or not it would qualify.
Okay. All right.
And one thought is that if we add the general statute language, if there's a change in the general statute, we currently don't have general statute language anywhere in our ordinances. We do have definitions, very simple definitions, but not word for word general statute anywhere in our code of ordinances.
Do you have the history on how those signs originated to be on those streets?
I do not. No,
So
ma'am.
your staff, you and your staff just riding around and you saw the sign and you noticed there was no ordinance. It would be good to know though, why are we having to do this? I mean, how did it come? I understand how it came about, the signs there, and we don't have an ordinance.
Right.
But I wonder, do we have other areas in Sunset Beach that need to have these streets as well? That's where I was going with this. Did you know the history behind it?
No, I don't, but I would venture to guess that somebody complained, and then the sign appeared. Oof. So
We'll have some more
the
signs.
option is we either remove the sign, or we to effectively enforce it, there should be an ordinance
Mhm.
that says this street is designated as no through trucks,
Yeah.
and it's currently not. So I guess those are the options before you either adopt the ordinances or direct staff to remove the signs.
In these three roads, do you feel like if you were deciding today, if they didn't already have signs up there, would you be promoting them to get a sign to say no through trucks or not? Since
Those
we're kinda
streets are,
looking
I
at
mean,
this.
those are used as cut through areas. They are. So I would not want large, those heavy vehicles just using those streets as cut through streets.
Okay.
So I support it. It's difficult to enforce. It is. I'm not gonna lie to you about it. But like I said, it gives us teeth. So if someone complains that lives on that road that says this particular vehicle every day at 7 a.m. is cutting through, then we've got something that we can say, shouldn't have did that.
Is it fair to say it would be a deterrent? The sign there is a deterrent. The guys and girls that are delivery people, they would see that sign, so they kind of change their behavior for that.
Most of your CDL drivers are going to comply. The other ones, I'd hope it would be a deterrent.
What's the pleasure of council in regards to this?
Let's see the ordinance with the as stated with the state
General statute?
general statute.
So with or without, I'm sorry.
With.
With.
Let's put teeth in it, at least that much. We can vote on it next time.
Table it.
We need to have a motion
Motion
to
to
table.
table it.
Motion to table it till next meeting.
I'll
August
second your
3rd.
motion. I'll second your motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next up would be our ordinance adoption for cash-free transactions. Go ahead, Ken.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and this is, it's typo on the agenda, the ordinance. It's not an ordinance that we're asking you to adopt. This is more of a policy to direct us not to accept cash anymore for town-related payments. We take cash now for things such as event permits, building permits, fingerprinting, and paper copies. And we're just asking that we go cash-free.
What
So
do we
what-
charge now for, like, say, if I were to pay for something up here, what would you charge me the merchant fee?
For a credit card,
Yes, sir.
we do.
For a check?
There's
No.
no fee for a check.
And what about debit?
The same fee applies as it would for a credit
The
card.
3%?
Yes, ma'am. Is it 3? 2.5? 2.9?
Do y'all take any other payment?
We-
Apple Pay, anything like that? I mean,
Can we tap? Yes.
What would we do if we have like a breach, power outage, another disaster like a COVID situation, and we have an ordinance that says that we go cashless, then we have to meet again to undo the ordinance. Cash is the cheapest form of payment. How much cash do we take in? Is it a lot?
Very little. Very, very little.
But you audit it twice a day, or you count it twice a day.
How often do we audit it? Often do twice a day?
Twice a day.
what, in the morning and the afternoon?
Yes.
Okay.
You have every day somebody comes in with cash?
No, I don't think not every day.
But you take it to the bank immediately that day.
We do.
It doesn't sit here
If
sitting.
you
next
receive
day.
it, if you receive
Next.
it.
Okay.
One concern I have, I know in some of the fees are very small. Let's say if you do a 10-cent copy, or if you do something that's less than $2.
Order now.
Or whatever it is, whatever
Tell
it
us.
is, whatever it is,
Tell us.
something little. Some cards won't process small amounts like that. So how are you going to handle something like that? I don't know if y'all ran into that, but some won't process them because some of those things are small dollar amounts, I guess. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't really use checks anymore. I don't know a lot of people don't use checks anymore. I know my children, they don't even have checks. Like the youth of today, everything's electronic or cash, I didn't know.
I don't have an answer for
I
the
didn't know.
small transaction.
I
The
didn't know the
cards,
small
I have
transactions.
will.
If we're going
charge a dime.
Who
cashless,
who takes the money to the bank? A police officer?
Yes.
So that's kind of a goodwill for a police officer to go to a bank. I mean, it's a way that we can interface with the community too. I'm not for cashless. I think there are people out there that want to use cash. They may not, for whatever reason, may not believe in using a credit card, a debit card, a check, whatever. This has been discussed too at the general legislature level a lot. It also has had bills they pass. Sometimes they forget about them. They just leave them there. If we have a power outage, and say for a week, and somebody's got to pay something, cash sure does work quickly, and you don't have the disruption.
We have a nice generator.
Okay.
So we're usually under power. As long as we have diesel fuel, we're running.
I know for me, I do not want to charge taxpayers a 3% or 2.9% fee if their only other option is check. If they couldn't pay by cash, that would kind of be my concern with that, is giving them the option and not having to pay. They obviously could write a check, but what if you're down here and don't have a check and you need to do something? And I don't know. I just think checks are also kind of going out, but I
Some
feel like
things-
cash will always be king no matter what for now. So
don't want to get in the weeds, but just in case somebody's gets their credit card stolen or lost and they have to get a new one and there's a timely payment that needs to be paid up here, if they don't have the cash offering, we don't want them to have a hiccup with that.
I know.
Let this one die. No motion, we just let it die. I think that's pretty much what y'all saying, right? I'm cash king, so
I mean, I like cash.
We know you are.
cash
cash
is
is
the only
the
way to
best.
deal, but it is what it is. If y'all good, if y'all don't want to go forward with this, let's just drop it. There's no sense to keep beating the dead horse. All right, disposition of directives. We got the public hearing for the August the 3rd with Mr. Satterfield, legislative updates. Also, updated version of the rules of procurement on August the 3rd, and the no through trucks. That with the general statute coming back up for August 3rd. Anything else that needs to be added as of right now?
I
Yeah.
have something.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
You know, we approved a budget last month, and a large expenditure there is going to be on roads. I know we asked for that to be on this agenda for the 1st of July. It wasn't there. Can we have a commitment that those roads will be identified, and also with the roads, also have the RFP ready for us to approve so that it can go out for advertisement the next day? The next thing is the ERC rules. I've mentioned this before, but the membership is 9 and our rules say 7. I think that just needs to be cleaned up, but if it needs to come before council, let's do it. But I think Mayor, it just needs for you to sign. I think that's an easy thing. Records retention policy. I don't know when we've done one of those as a town, but I would like, if we don't have one, I'd like to get one. If we have one, I'd like for you to
We follow
distribute
guidance
out.
from the state with the records retention policy.
Okay, will you distribute that to the council so
Absolutely.
that we can see that? Thank you. And then Muni Code was something that was brought up in the budget that we went ahead and approved that. But we need to have a staff person who is tasked with ensuring that the Muni Code is updated, because we passed different ordinances and it has not been updated since 2023. So can you have a report to us in August as to who is going to be that staff person? And also with the Council Connect, which was the portal that we used to have. I asked 2 council meetings ago who on staff is tasked with doing that. Could you give us a report on the Council Connect? And the way that Ms. Batchelor and I set it up with our deputy clerk was, it was a way for the citizens, whoever they are, they didn't have to be taxpayers, they could be anybody, could interface with us, give us information, but that if it were something that needed staff attention, that you all, whoever the staff person is that's tasked with being this person, would say, this is what your concern was, put us on an email thread so that we see what the concern is as well as what the resolve was. Could you help us with that? Because we have a lot of back and forth. I know I send something to you, and then a little while later, I see Ms. Batchelor send something. I see Mr. Pot. I mean, we see all this, and it's a lot of traffic. And I think if somebody puts a comment in the portal, if somebody sends us an email, they deserve some type of answer. May not be what they want to hear or read, but I think that they need to have, and we need to know what we're doing with these comments, because I feel like some of us are chasing each other with trying to ensure that person gets an answer. So could we put that on the?
We can. I just, not to get into it now, but just, I guess, clarification. Are you looking to streamline it so that there's one point of contact, one person sending the responses? Because I know now there'll be multiple responses that go to a resident about one question they
Yeah.
bring up.
I have a suggestion.
Is that what we're trying to streamline?
I have a suggestion for that is if, and we can work together on this, But I feel like whenever something comes into the portal, we get notified. If you've set up your notifications, you get a notification that one came in. I know me, if I'm on my laptop, I can easily click on it and do stuff and cut and paste it from the spreadsheet into an email. But if I'm on my phone, I can't really do it. But if there's a way we can automate it, I feel like if something comes in to council where that request can then be sent to us all at one time in one email, so that a way we're addressing it that way, we know it's addressed, because I feel like the problem is in the spreadsheet, it's not being assigned or updates put in on the items. So I feel like that, because I feel like everybody's better at it coming in the email. That way we all get it, and however it's being addressed, we're all copied on it to see the responses, is how I feel like the flow of that would be better. Because if not, the way some things are sent and we can't always copy everybody, it can come from staff to us, and then we can be updated from you on what's there, and then that would be my suggestion, and that way it is handled and covered. And sometimes people want a response back from us and sometimes they don't. But I feel like the last month, I know for me, I have 3 pages of stuff I still need to call people back, because I always try to. But we had so many requests come in when C-Trail sent out the thing for the roads to contact us. It was a lot. And as y'all kind of know, about every phone call you have, it ends up being an hour conversation. So I feel like if we could get some of that in email, because if not, I know me, I'm having to go copy it, and I almost have to be at my laptop to do it. So that would be my suggestion.
Councilwoman Christie,
Yes.
I'm wondering if somehow between the 6 of us, if you wish, 7, when a subject matter comes in, to designate one particular council person to respond to that person. Everybody's sending a response to the same person, and we may have a little different nuance to each of them.
We definitely could.
One thing, I like the concept of the category. We think we may know the answer up here, and we may not know the answer, and then we've misspread information. So I'm going to just say it goes to the deputy clerk. The deputy clerk reads it. She sees, oh, this is a street concern. It goes to Public Works. This is a stormwater. Oh, it goes to Public Works. Oh, this is a public safety. It goes to Mr. Claimer. Oh, this is somebody's having a fire hazard at their home. It goes to the police chief. The fire chief. And then you send it to them, and you copy all of us, so that whoever the staff person is, the department head, will answer the question. We all see the answer. We know. Then it's also a way for us to learn things. But that means that Miss Rigsby's going to be the point of contact, and she's going to take it and siphon it off to someone, to a department head, copying all of us. And then every time you answer, you hit reply all. But we've set this up, and this is the way it was set up to do originally. And we're 6 months into it, and it's 300 comments, and I know I've responded to at least 290. And I don't mind doing it. But then Mr. Arnold's doing some, Miss Batchelor's doing some, Mr. Brom's doing some, Mr. Postel's doing some, and we're all, we want to hear from our public. But we want them to have an answer too, because some folks have said, I'm not going to say that. They need to have an answer. If they take the time to go on the portal, somebody on staff needs to direct it to a department head. And it's not, if it's something that they can't answer, then it's a simple comment. Appreciate your comment. Because some of them just want to be heard. Some of them want an answer. So we're looking to you to denote somebody on staff to be the point person. And when we set it up, we thought it was going to be Miss Rigsby, but perhaps it will be you. I don't know.
We will address it and bring it back.
Wonderful. Good. Thank you.
Are you done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I had some of the same as definitely the road thing. I was hopeful that we would see the roads. I'm getting a lot of questions about the roads, which roads, when does it happen, all that. So I think the roads, and I don't know if there's a way for the roads plan for us to even if that's close to being done or what. I know I was told it was pulled from this agenda because it wasn't ready yet, but if it's ready now or going to be ready sooner before our August meeting, if we could even be sent it so we can review it, because some of this material, it's a lot to review when you get it, you know, right prior to the meetings, and that's going to be a hot topic one, or for us to see what it is. It's kind of the same with the land use plan. I thought we were going to have that presented today, and what was coming from our contract company for that anchor point. So to me, if they have that, if they could go ahead and send that once it's ready, so we're not just receiving it right before the meeting, so we can review that, because there is so much material we're given before this. And the other one to add on was I would like to add a 6th Street discussion. We had some things where we added in a stop sign there at Canal and 6th Street. And I'm still hearing from a lot of residents that it's not really helping. And I think where it is down so close to Main Street, you know, it's kind of at the end where a lot are cutting off on Canal or you know, different scenarios. I know, Chief, you had shared some of those. I've shared with residents. As you can imagine, the perspectives on that vary widely, as you can imagine. We still discussed last time the putting stop signs at Riverside and 6th Street, putting stop signs there. That's the one thing I've heard the most about that people seem to be in unity on. They feel like that would at least slow them down there to stop before they take off on down 6. So I don't know if we need to have discussion. I do feel like it's important to be able to gain feedback from the residents on it and anybody that drives that stretch of road, I guess. So I wanted to see if we could add that.
I forgot one. We've had this on the deposition of directive since about January, is the non-residential building code. And Ms. Batchelor earlier commended our code enforcement officer on her great work, and I echo that. But could we have an update on the property that's across the park, that's the eyesore, that's been there, an eyesore for about 2 decades? I know there's some work done there, but I think our public would like to hear what's being done thus far, what the constraints are. I think that they look at that and they don't understand. I think they deserve an explanation of the constraints that we're under the town and what we can do. So I renew that. It's been on there for a while, and I'd like to see that on the August agenda. Thank you.
All right. That's it. We'll open up at public comments. If anybody has any public comments, you're more welcome.
Chris Bauman, 417 40th. The only thing about stop signs, I thought that there was a stop sign previously approved by the NCDOT for Main at 40th. I'm not sure if that's still on the docket or not. There's a lot of traffic there. A lot of people come whipping around the corners, and there are blind spots with all that area gets a lot of use with handicapped people, people with wagons, which is great. And you can't see real good from both directions. So I don't know if that's still on the docket. And then my other thing was, this has to be regarding a vote tonight. I wasn't sure when you guys voted on, did you vote to remove parking spots from 7th Street also, or was the motion just 8th through 11th? Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comments, last call. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Do we want to, Chief, can you address, or you want to address the question?
I'm happy to if,
Yeah.
So the 40th Street, NCDOT didn't give us guidance on a stop sign because it's coming off of our property. I don't support a stop sign there. There's so many complaints from the people who live there on Main Street about congestion. And then we're going to add a stop sign, which is going to create what? It's going to create congestion. So I don't support it. That's why there's no stop sign there unless this council feels otherwise. What was the second part of your question? Was the ordinance adoption, and it was 8th through 11th. We have parking on 7th.
Yes.
We missed 7th.
So in order to do that through Robert's Rules of Order, somebody on the prevailing side needs to reissue the motion, and I'll be glad to do that. If the mayor calls me to do that, because I looked at, and I only saw 8 through 11. I did
Yeah.
not see 7. I'm sorry I didn't catch it, but I'm glad somebody in the audits caught it.
So I'm glad somebody caught that. Thank you.
Yeah, let
Mr.
me look.
Mr. Mayor,
Reissue.
and I'm going to change some of my motion as well too, because I forgot to talk about it's a one-way street, and do we want to do it two-way streets? So before I make my motion, do we want to make it two-way street? It's a one-way street now. To validate your point, to make sure people aren't parking there, do we want it to go back to being a two-way street?
I like to drive those streets another time before I make that comment.
Right.
And visualize it as a one or two way.
I'd like to make a motion that we have no parking on 7th Street through 11th Street on the island.
Just
That we
on the
rem-
side short street.
On
right?
the
Okay.
that we remove those spots immediately.
Second.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
My only thing is, do we say immediately, meaning when Public Work can work it into their schedule where it doesn't have to be like done? Does that make sense?
They're not going to do it tonight.
Right,
so-
right. But I mean,
Yeah, I think the
I mean,
understanding is
even
that
tomorrow, it may not be
yeah,
tomorrow,
as
whenever
soon as it's
schedule can work
possible,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
and we got to put the signs up as well because some people enjoy parking there, so we'll have to put signs back up as soon as practical.
So you got a motion. You had the second. Who had the second?
I think so.
Okay, second. All right. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?